Now, welcome back to Final Fantasy 3 Pixel Remaster. So, there was a little bit of task that go to a Cave of Shadows and find it, but before that, there's a little bit of a trip I had to do, because there's this hidden village part, which I think it's how it appears is quite of badly made, because the gimmick of dividing enemies is basically meant to be talked in here, Falgabard. Oh, Dark Blade. Yeah, if I remember right, in original one this was either samurai or it was close to the samurai or magic knight or something like that. It's basically upgraded warrior class, which this game has quite many of them. So, but this city, they sell weaponry and equipment fit to that specific class. So it is time to actually go to this cave tutorial area, Falgabard Cave, which also has lots of this kind of hidden pathways to go through. But let's just show that. Basic enemies, nothing strange in that. But once I attack them with physical attacks, magic does, well, it does damage, but anything special up to them. Yeah, they do attack. But now I do attack, oh, actually took damage. Oh, and they divide. So this place is supposed to be teach the gimmick of fighting them. But as you can see, it's already found talk at the ancient cave. There was the same monsters with the same gimmick, which I would say was quite an unpleasant thing to be facing in there. But in this cave, they were basically meant to be the same thing in here, meant to happen, that enemies get broken apart when you attack them, and then they double their attack power even though the hit points go down. And this cave also has a way load of hidden passages as well. So the idea of this being a tutorial area where you can learn specific gimmick of fighting against these kind of enemies doesn't really work, because the gimmick has already been introduced and most likely caused lots of damage as well. But I'm still going to go through this cave using my regular method of just turning off the encounters, because there would be so many interruptions in here. Visually this is quite interesting location though. Containing, these hidden tunnels, which do become a bit more important. And I wonder, and I do remember, was this actually just a little side room that you could explore, or what did it have? A bit more places to study. Map at least doesn't show much. Actually, it doesn't seem to be at all. Yep, it's just a little side quest that you're gonna have to do or want to do. Yeah, ninja is a class which is in this cave, which is in this game, and it's the ultimate fighting class. No limits on anything, what weapons it can equip. But generally this location is quite, you could say, not that important in what there is. well, in this kind of sense it is important location. But what you actually need to do here is very little. So I guess it's time to head to the other part of the Cave of Shadows then, and see what kind of mess there happens. I did a bit of mistake, because there's this little hidden sideways passage in Vagabond. I think that would be the way to pronounce the word name. It took a little bit of effort to find, but there's this little patch of grass or whatever containing some items, which is quite handy. And also this little side cave, basically where there's this important looking dude, so let's have a chat with him. Oh, he picks a fight. Or better say, I picked a fight with him. Shinobi, aka Dark Warrior, Wizard of Darkness, or how are you? Ninja, Shadow Warrior, whatever you want to do it. He gives a lot of damage. And he can also make you blind. So I wonder, can I actually defeat him, or is he gonna actually crush me with his... No, he doesn't. He goes down. Well, now I got a very powerful dark blade to be used by the Dark Warrior. But it's now time to head to the actual Cave of the Shadows then now. Now, as I'm approaching the actual Cave of the Shadows, I'm going to do some little bit of rambling, philosophizing about games design. Because, well, Final Fantasy games generally, well, Final Fantasy 2 is the, let's say, sole exception, which is why, and Squaresoft most likely itself also knows that even though it had a, for its age, quite solid story, its gameplay mechanics are awful. But I think that in this game, over say, in quite many of these earlier Final Fantasy games, a lot of difficulty was because of attrition. You would face so much random encounter battles with so little means to recover that you would be absolutely crushed by the end of dungeon or stage, whatever word you want to use about that. So that you would need to do lots of grinding to get your party into such shape and ability that you could just breeze through the, you could say, the regular encounters. And in this game's end, which is this is the end half of it, or I am at the ending half of it, much something like almost 2/3, maybe even. Well, the biggest challenge areas of the game are still in front of me, but in these cases it would be so much of the fact that, yeah, there's so many enemies and they are so strong that you always need to grind yourself at least 3 or 4 levels more before you could even dare to go to the next dungeon. So, but let's just have a chat with this guy. Yeah, I know that. That's why I have a Dark Warrior with me. Even though I, even more though, have the no encounters thing. Yeah. And, well, Dark Warrior, Dark Master, Samurai, whatever, Dark Knight. Well, what was the name of the class? Dark Knight is kind of upgrade warrior class, so no point not to make use of it. And luckily these little holes or gashes in the walls indicate the presence of hidden paths. So, as you can see from the main map, there are lots of them in here. But this ain't the worst. I think this is more or less meant to teach you about these kind of stage or dungeons, however you wanna call the name, where this kind of lots of hidden passages would be a main theme of it. Because like in here, I came through here, which leads to nowhere. If you would come, but then you would look at the map and see that hey, there's so much going on, that you would simply just start to explore it right away. So Genji gloves. I think this is the first incident that appearance of Genji equipment in Final Fantasy. Usually there's some sort of accessory called Genji glove that lets you dual wield, but in this game everybody can dual wield right at the start, so there's no point of that. But Genji armor is Dark Warriors in like Dark Knight's best kit. Yeah, a little bit of confusing. They add a little bit of this kind of confusing little layouts, spinning around, turning around, which don't lead anywhere. But if you would of course go and just wander off the wrong path, you would be very much ground down by random encounters with Hiku Ichimonye. That guy in the village hoarded one, but now I have another. Even though in visual sense this dungeon is not, well, these early Final Fantasy games didn't have that impressive visuals. This is just a purplish stone dungeon that you just crawl through. Nothing really impressive or stunning about that. And of course many alternative routes to take to find a Genji shield. This place has all the Genji equipment in it, except Genji's sword, if that even appears in the game. And another little side walk to a cave, get the Genji helm. More equipment for the Dark Knight. But it's lucky that I don't know. Was it in the original that they would that going to the secret path would reveal all secret paths around the map? But I do remember that in Final Fantasy V, one class, was it a thief or something, which had ability to see all these hidden paths as class feature, so that when you had one of those in your team, or at least leading your team, you could see all these little hidden passages, which was very convenient and handy ability to have, especially when the game started to throw all kinds of confusing layouts to you. Yeah, more paths to take. Long tunnel in nowhere. And that looks very suspiciously like an ambush. Fang of Earth. Yeah, it was an ambush. Say hello to Hecatonkir. I don't know the actual pronunciation of that name. But it's some sort of earth monster starting. Let's just regular straight attacks right at it. Physical attacks. Oops, it's gonna throw a big heavy spell. Jeez, that did a lot of damage. And the fact that I can't really predict what it's planning to do, well, that was pretty preemptive. But as the offense in this game tends to be very high, it's safe to say that bosses usually go down fast or they take you down fast. Of course, random number god also has a thing to say, because, well, If it were repeated those quake, it would have been done really bad damage. But my damage output overcame his. Now I am not going to do the walking back because I had the teleport spell handy. Though that kind of convenience spell I think they have disappeared from the franchise. Although there have been fast travels and all that kind of things appearing, but not that kind of, you could say, convenience spell of exit the dungeon. Well, but it's still trying to hop over all these little mountains. And you will find out that there's a little bit of a dead end to get through. Right there. That was German. From one very good song from one very good band. I know some German. It's actually quite... It is not, in a sense, it feels very precise and, in that kind of sense, trustworthy language. That it's speaking manners and wordings do have very clear, defined meanings. Maybe not necessarily with the simple meanings, but the words do have very simple meanings. And of course, the fact that you can also string them together to form very long words like neo-Nazi Scheißen Essayhua, which is one word, not several words. It makes it quite much more convenient. But now there's actually a little bit of a chance about opportunity to do a sequence breaking in this game. Final Fantasy 1 also had a quite big opportunity to do that, but I'm gonna make use of that similar opportunity now. Actually not yet, because I'm first going to go to the mansion, Doga's mansion, and look what they are planning over there. Let's land first. Save. And start getting through the tunnel. Disembark and gets inside. So, they have a Doga's Grotto, and this is a stage in which, well, this is something that you can't return here if late at this game at all. So, if you wanna get all the bestiary full, you have to do some grinding around here. But I think I'm gonna have to go back to the little sequence break thing I mentioned about. Now, before I go to show the little sequence breaking thing, which does demand fighting, I was going to the Great Library to see what kind of exposition do library provide. Yeah, and a guy called Owen built the Tower of Owen and Flying Continent. Yeah, there's a big blocks you can't cross. And there was a flood of light and the warriors of darkness. Yeah. Yeah, all kinds of little tidbits of information. So, but let's just go to the show to the little sequence break. Now, it would be right here at this dark continent or whatever, or at least this area, here, where there would be these little towering forest pieces, patches, which are very taunting you right from the beginning of the game, and guarded by ludicrously strong enemies. But now I have 4 fang items to get through them, so I think I'm gonna push my luck and go. Yeah, I broke one. And another. And the 4 one. 4 elemental fangs cracked. So it's not... Oh. Yep, got ambushed by enemies. But now I'm actually quite well equipped to handle with these very strong enemies. So I just make use of the massive amount of spell ability spells to throw at them. Long recoveries because of in and invincible are not so bad, so even these random fights you can feel free to use as much as magic you want. Yeah, this group is ridiculous. And it was also partly petrified because of white mage has a couple of weapons which cause petrification. And I had actually also died, that's why the experience points do not always match. But now I have opened up the path to the Xandy's tower or dungeon or castle. I can now just jump over this with using the invincible and face a battle, and invincible also opens every fight with that barrage of firepower, so it does little bit of damage, not much that you could actually rely on it, but here it is, the final dungeon of the game. So let's just... Actually, this is the location of the final dungeon of the game, but it's something that I couldn't be making yet use of it, at least fully, because I would need a special keys to get inside fully that place. But I can go a little bit inside. Just a tip, as you could say very dirty language. So let's just make a save first and walk inside to Ancient's Maze. Whoever there's very little exposition in this game about what this location is. Yes, it's a big tower, and the main bad guy, Xandy, is keeping it as his headquarters, surrounded by this huge maze. But why it is completely different. And I found the final crystal. Yeah, and it had a monster guarding it. A Titan, or that's its name. So let's blast out the Quake spell. How much damage it does? Not that much. It's gonna respond with its Quake of its own. It does quite a lot of damage. So I'm going a bit ahead of what the game has planned for me to get into. I always forget that in addition to buying the spells, I have to also learn them. Well, it does seem to shrug off quite regular attacks, magics quite well. So it is most likely physical damage, which does it more. Well, let's just use the lead spell to find out what does it have weakness? No weaknesses. Flare. Oops. Now that's a... Well, luckily it... Well, lucky for me, it attacked target not that susceptible to the magic attacks. And again, wrong target. As long as it keeps, and it still does a huge chunk of damage. And still, wrong target. As long as it keeps bashing wrong targets, good. I'm gonna keep wailing at it. Wrong target, meaning I'm gonna keep wailing at you. Yeah, the bosses in these old Final Fantasy games are very much are not, you could say, tactically that, you could say, smart or impressive, but they still can provide a lot of damage, mostly because of how strong they can attack. Not necessarily by how much damage they can take or how difficult their movesets are to handle. Which, well, kind of understandable. You programming good competent AIs is something that you want the boss fights to be challenging, but not something that boss fight is extremely smart and boss has extremely powerful attack. So what it does, it opens with it and it just keeps repeating until you die. That is not fun gameplay unless it would. But Titan goes down. And with that, I have access to the Earth Crystal. That's the first mention of the God of Darkness. Is it some sort of avatar of dark or creature he wants to attack? And it gives me circles. Now, about those new jobs I got. Magus is basically just a improved Black Mage, and Devout is improved White Mage, so of course I'm gonna switch them. Summoner can use all summon magics, but as a little catch, summon magics tend to be a bit, you could say, limited. But now it's time to head for the Doga's Maze. But I think it's gonna be next time when that happens. Maybe. I'll check how long the recording has taken.